All right, so you got these three dudes coming back that, listen, Landers, DeAndre, Lester, were all good last year. I mean, they all put up, double figures for the most part. And now they got these young bucks coming in, and everybody's going to talk about these young guys, right?
Yep.
Let's face it. We're doing it already. Who did I start with? I started with these two young guys. How hard is it? How much is chemistry going to be maybe the number one thing for you guys to succeed this year, and those guys accepting their roles? And honestly, Landers, you might not average as many as you did last year, or it might be your night one night, and the next night you take a backseat to one of these other dudes.
Right. That's 1, 2, and 3 for us. Chemistry. That's 1, 2, and 3. I mean, you got to understand, everybody has that human characteristic of, okay, we got these great players, but don't forget about me. DeAndre is very confident in his game. Landers very confident. Lester very confident. They've welcomed these kids with open arms, but we do know the season hasn't started yet. Once the season starts and it isn't about you, how are you going to respond? And that's how our season is going to go. With those veterans understanding, hey, I'm still going to play. I'm still going to be a big part of it. It might not be about me every night. Are you willing to sacrifice that and be happy for your teammate if it isn't going your way that night, but the team is winning? And that's the biggest question mark by University of Memphis.
Yeah, because if you win, it's a lot harder to bitch and complain.
Yep.
Right? I mean, but if you're losing, then you're going to have to deal with some issues with guys saying, well, we're not winning. I want more. Why aren't I playing more? No matter who it's going to be. Why aren't I getting more touches? But I feel like, again, you've done what you've done. And the other part I tell people is you're not a rookie head coach anymore.
Right.
Right. What have you learned over the first few years now that you feel so much more comfortable taking on a team like this that you had it a couple of years ago with expectations, certainly with Wiseman, with Precious, with Boogie, that group coming in. Now you didn't get to coach them the way you wanted to. That's a big part of it with Wiseman. But even 2 years removed from that, how much have you learned? What have you learned that will enable you to maybe be a better coach this year?
The biggest thing I've learned, Jeff, and I talked about this the other day when I sat back and was like, what is the biggest thing I've learned? It's almost like the Greg Popovich way. The culture overrides everything. Yeah. Where in the past, you kind of let some players kind of get away with some things and still play. Yeah. Now there's non-negotiables and zero tolerance if you're not buying into every single thing that we do. We're going to actually play the players that are going to do exactly what I'm telling them to do. And I know we'll win that way. Yeah. You'll make an NCAA tournament. You'll compete against the better teams. If we do that and hold them accountable and keep them on that path, then there are no excuses. You actually have to do exactly what we're saying. That's from the stars, from Imani to Jalen to Landers to Lester to DeAndre. Nobody's an exception to that rule. You can't bend a little bit. Because if you do, you lose your team. That's where I've grown the most. Because in the past, being a player, you kind of allow players to, to mumble here, to be, unhappy here, there.
Because you've seen it. You've seen it. You've probably done it in the past.
Right.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. And then you just go, okay, the coaches that win, these are the rules. It's in black and white. You see it. If you can't abide by those rules, then you can't play or you won't play much.
Especially in college, right, Penny?
Yeah, in college you have to. Right. The league is different. College, you have to believe in that culture. You have to sell your culture.
What else is the key? You mentioned chemistry is obviously number 1, 2, and 3. All right, after chemistry, if I said to you, with a team, what is the key? Is it point guard play? Because again, to me, you can't win at the highest level without quality point guard play. Imani. Right. Alo, I mean, what do you do here if the Imani experiment doesn't work at the point?
Well, our thing is by committee. We have so many guys. We have point forwards in DeAndre Williams. Yep. We have point forwards in Earl Timberlake. Yep. So it's like the way we run our offense. You don't have to have like the stereotypical PG because we're not a system. We play out of concepts. Right. So that helps us not having to have a floor general every single time bringing the ball up to get us calmed down, to get us organized and all that, which is what great point guards do. For us, we can take a 6'9" guy and have him bring the ball up and still get into our stuff.
Earl, I saw is injured. What, he had surgery in the offseason. What's
Yeah, he's like 90% right now. So he's almost back to 100. And he is a phenomenal piece for us to have because of his toughness, his playmaking ability, his winning attitude. Just love everything about him, man. He's an assassin.
What don't you have on this team that you wish you had? Is there anything?
What don't I have? I think honestly, you could talk about having that stereotypical point guard. You could talk about having that
Right, alongside one of these guys.
alongside
right? Yeah.
one of the other guys, because Alex can do it,
Yep.
Imani can do it, but you don't have that all around guy. You know what I mean? Like that elite.
Sure.
And that's not on my guys, because Alex Lomax is one of the best defenders in the country and is going to work his ass off.
He's a great backup. He's one of the best backup point guards in the country.
Absolutely, he is. And Imani is a puppy.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
He's a puppy,
Yes.
but he's going to go and compete on a nightly basis. But I think the biggest word that you said, what's the next thing that besides chemistry is sacrifice.
Yeah. Yep. They're going to have to, right?
They're going to have to sacrifice. It's not going to be big numbers. One guy's not going to get 40 on a given night. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
It's just the way our team is built. There's so many weapons. It's just not going to happen. Everybody just has to be happy for one another. And if you play the right way, then things are going to happen the way they're supposed to happen.
Final question for you. Pressure. Do you feel it a little bit? I mean, you haven't gotten the team to the tournament yet. Again, it was hard a couple of years ago without Wiseman and
Yeah.
you were young. Do you feel it? Do you want it with this team?
No, I do. I want that extra feeling of, okay. And I told our whole team and our staff, we haven't done anything yet. You know, that's why we're not getting our respect. So that adds the pressure to be like, all right, we know who we are. We know what we have to do. And that edge to have on your shoulders every single day, the chips on your shoulders is what I want. So that pressure is wanted and needed at the same time, because once you just relax, we have no time to relax, I should say, you know, because we have not accomplished it. Yeah, we had the one season with the COVID when James left.
Yeah.
But James gone and DJ Jeffries was hurt.
Right.
We don't know what would have happened then. The first year I inherited Coach Tubby's team. Last year was the NCAA team, and we didn't believe in those two words. Chemistry and sacrifice weren't the two top words.
Yep.
Now you have the best roster I've had. Let's see.
Should be in, right? I mean, honestly, this should be a lock tournament team, shouldn't it?
Absolutely. That's no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind.